one's a stinker.
To the belly.
What's up YouTube? So after Casus Bike Park the other day with Steve, who's behind the camera.
Hello.
We have made it to Madeira, the island of Madeira, for a 5-day enduro race. Now, this is the place that I started YouTubing. It was on Matt's channel for Trans Madeira, the event that we're starting in 2 days' time. But in the little laps that we have before the event gets underway, I want to show you a full bike check on the new Propain Tyee. 160mm enduro bike, and this is what I'm going to be using for all 5 days of racing. So it's a size large. I'm about 6 foot tall and it works pretty perfect for my size. I ran a large in the previous version and this feels mint. It's full carbon fibre, 160mm of rear travel, 170 on the front. They recommend, I think, 160 fork. I've gone a little bit longer and I like that for the enduro stuff that I've been doing, but it would work really well with both. So what's changed on the new Tyee? Well, the previous version, the cable routing came out under the frame, underneath the BB. So they've gone over the top of the BB now, which is a lot cleaner, a lot quieter, less to snag on. And talking of quietness, they've also put a new chainstay protector on. It's a softer rubber and the bike is honestly silent when you ride it. And part of the reason is what they've done with the cable routing up here, but we'll show you that in a sec. So I think if we start at the bottom, I'm running Goodyear tyres. These are the Newtons, and there's a different one for front with quite a big knobble pattern, and rear a tighter, much faster rolling pattern. With the knobs quite close together, it's really fast rolling tyre, but they're wide enough apart that it's going to give really good braking edge and also shed mud. So I'm really chuffed with those. They're an enduro casing in 29er and they're fitted on Mavic D-Max wheels. These are the new Mavic wheels, the D-Max, set up for enduro. I'm really chuffed with them. The rear got a nice positive click on it and rolls for days and days and days. So they're perfect for enduro. I'm chuffed with those. Finished with the valve at the top, look at that. For gears, for drivetrain, I'm running XTR, Shimano XTR, cranks, chainring, derailleur, 12-speed cassette, and it's the big dinner plate one. In previous bike checks I've done, I've talked about having a bit of a closer ratio cassette, I think to a 45, but I've gone up to the 51, and the reason for that is I can get away with a 34 tooth chainring and still climb. So the bigger chainring means that when I'm at the bottom of the cassette, I can really churn the gears, I can pedal with resistance at higher speeds, which for a rider with longer legs tend to have a bit of a slower cadence. So on the faster tracks I've still got that resistance to push against, but I've got the bigger cog for the big climbs. So I'm chuffed with that change. Running DMR V twin pedals, they're like a Shimano SPD setup. I really like the positive feel of clipping into those. Never tried other pedals like Crank Brothers. Heard good things, but I'm chuffed with the DMR ones. Let's talk about suspension. So Fox 38 fork, an air shock fork. I've got 125 PSI in that, which sounds like a lot, but I'm about 92, 93 kilos or 202 pounds, which is quite a lot. So they're fairly stiff. I've got 2 volume spacers in there, 125 PSI, and these trick orange caps that you can only get when you get a Fox service in the UK. So I'm chuffed with them. They go with the decals nice on the frame, the forks, the spring, all goes well together. When you buy a Propain, you can pick what colour decals you've got and what colour head badge. So I've gone for the oil slick head badge, which looks sick in the sun, and then the orange decals that goes perfectly with the lowers and the spring. For settings, it's pretty common for people with Fox 38 forks to run the high speed compression open, or maybe 1 click from open. Everything else on the bike, we count the clicks from closed. So for low speed, I've got 5 clicks on there from closed. That's pretty closed, and for me, I grew up riding sort of dirt jumps and pump track and smaller tracks, and you generate all your speed from pumping. And when you're pumping the bike and pushing it slowly, it's not a high speed bump, it's a low speed compression. Plenty of low speed compression means I can push into the bike better and pump for more speed. So 5 clicks is fairly closed, but that's how I'm generating a bit of pump. Underneath on the rebound, let me think, just counted them. The low speed rebound, I'm 9 clicks from closed. Now that's quite fast, especially with the pressure I've got in them. But again, because I like pumping, I want the bike to be quite resistive when I'm pushing, when I'm pumping, and I also want it to recover fast so I can do that repetitively. So 9 clicks of low speed rebound and 5 clicks of high speed rebound. I guess with the higher pressure in there, I don't want it to sort of extend too quickly when it's hitting the bumps, and that's when the high speed rebound's activating. So keeping them under control, but also having quite a bouncy bike that I can pump into. So that's the fork. Now the shock. There's a 550 pound spring on there, and it's 160 mil of travel. I'm actually going to put a 600 pound spring on there for this race, because from memory doing it here, it's not crazy steep everywhere and it's quite pumpy, and you want to be able to have less of a sort of saggy, boggy bike when you're pedaling. It's kind of flat in places and you want to be able to carry speed. So I'm going to go up to a 600 pound spring, which will mean changing the settings a little bit, but similar to the fork, I'm fairly open on the low speed rebound, so it recovers well when I'm pumping. I've got 8 clicks of low speed rebound from closed, 5 clicks of high speed rebound, and on compression I've got 5 clicks of low speed from closed, which again, like the fork, is fairly closed. It means I can pump harder. And then on the high speed compression, 5 clicks as well. That was my best maths brain to remember all of that. The frame and all the components actually, other than the brakes and the shock stanchions, is G-Technique ceramic coated. That's a ceramic coat that you paste on permanently. It's on there for over a year, and it means when you clean it off, it cleans off really, really easy. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see me shouting about that, because that is a sick product. I've got a Fidlock bottle on there, so you don't have the look of a bottle cage when it's off, but really easy to get it off on the move. I really like that. A Fox dropper post, the transfer post and transfer lever, that integrates with the Shimano XTR brake lever, so that's really clean, same as the shifter does, but the Fox does match up with that, which is really, really slick. A 6-pack Millennium saddle, Millennium, is it, Steve? Millennium saddle. I have talked about using the Specialized women's saddles before. They're a bit shorter and they keep the weight through your buttocks and keeps your sort of genitalia alive in the climbs. But this looks cool for pictures. It's a nice looking seat and it's what came with the bike. The frame, like I said, I'm running full 29er. You can run it as a mullet. There's a flip chip to do so, which changes it from a high to a low. I enjoy full 29. I've run it for a few years now. Everyone does rave about mullet and say it's playful. You've got the choice to run that with this bike, but for me, I'm quite tall. The tyre doesn't hit me up the bum too much because I've got long legs. So full 29, rolls over bumps, chuff with that. Another feature of the frame, internal cable routing. So that cable routes through the headset. I see a lot of forums, people aren't a fan, some people are a fan. I haven't read much about it before, but after using it, it's just really, really, really quiet. The cables don't rattle against each other, they're fixed there, and it means that the frame doesn't have the holes that the cables would be routed through. So when it's routed through there, you haven't got those holes, and especially if you're using electric gears and things, you haven't got empty frame porting holes that kind of look a bit out of place. So I'm into that routing. Fair enough, I had a mechanic put it together for me, but I'm pretty sure I'll stick with it. In fact, I'm certain I would, because the bike's completely silent at the front with that. So I'm chuffed. Cockpit, ODI grips, single lock. They haven't got a lock at the end, which I really like, because I ride with my palms hanging off the end of the bars. Definitely hurts when you pinch that against a tree, but that's how I've always ridden. So not having a metal collar at the end is really comfortable for me. These are nice and soft as well. I'm excited to use this. This is going to be a long, long week on the bike, so having nice soft grips is perfect. Handlebars, these are a 35mm rise, 1-up carbon bar. Now these are different to your ordinary handlebar. They've gone for a sort of a flatter bar, so not a full tube like nearly every other manufacturer. And the reason for that is they work like a leaf spring. So there's markings on here that you'd match with your head angle, and that means that the bars are compliant at the perfect angle for your head angle, and it just saves your arms from fatiguing. Just way better, really, really like those. 45mm stem, but everything's a bit higher. I've got a stem spacer underneath and a 35mm rise handlebar. I've always run 20mm. And changing to this, it was Liam actually at Propain UK who said, "You look so hunched over in videos," and I've been riding my whole life, and he is right, and this has stood me taller. It's definitely saved my arms. I've always suffered from arm pump, so a higher rise bar and this sort of compliance in the bar is really helping for me, and it's definitely going to help this week. And I think, Steve and everyone at home, I'm running out of things to talk about. Is that a full bike?
That's a full bike check?
That's a full bike check. Any questions, hit me up. The suspension was accurate, albeit hard to remember. But yeah, questions in the comments, let me know. And in 2 days' time from when you see this, we will begin racing 5 days of Trans Madeira, and I'm flipping excited. Cheers for watching. To the belly.